lots and lots of blessings happening today. And what God's been putting on me is to bless more. Just keep the blessing train going all the time. So I figured we just continue doing the trivia. I find it fun. It's a way to pass some time in the evening before I'm ready to go to bed. It's educational for everybody involved. We have quite a few still to get through. And this is the saints, angels, and popes section of the Catholic trivia that we're going to be doing tonight. What's a recap of my day? Just it's very nice. This whole summer has been a delight, frankly. And I've had, as everybody has, I've had my ups and my downs at times. But like I was just talking to a homeless couple that I see around town, and I said, you know what? Look, we could complain, but one thing you can say about being out here is that it makes you resilient. And I'm appreciative for the fact that I am really just unrecognizable from the person that I was. It's coming on 2 years soon. It's hard for me to even believe that this journey's been going strong for 2 years now. I used to mark my life as before the events of 2017 and after, and that wasn't nothing compared to the path I'm on now. If I look a little bit bare tonight, it's because my crucifix is in my pocket, and that is because I'm trying to find all my dog tag chains. It broke overnight. And oddly enough, too, I think I should share this, I had bad dreams as well last night. I don't even remember exactly what they were, other than that they were lustful. And I don't usually have anything like that at all. And so that's interesting that my crucifix, I woke up with it on the ground, broken off of the necklace as well. Are these talismans or anything? No, of course they're not. But they definitely are holy objects that help us quite a bit. So I already did that one last night. So I'll give people a chance to get in. I'll just keep talking for a little bit. As usual, I mean, God bless the Covington Speedway. I go in, I got that for free, so that's always a blessing. It's the little things in life. It's the little things that are the big things in life. It's pathetic how many people follow the path of Satan, who says you have to be so focused on your own security, on your own safety and all this, to not help don't go out of your way to help anybody, especially not at night, and somebody might hurt you and all this. Just ignore them. Nobody gets out of their car. Don't do anything for anyone. You've got to take care of you and yours, and there's so many bills and money that you got to make, and you just, it'd be nice if we could all just bless each other, but golly gee willikers, that's just not practical. If you say so, I mean, that's definitely the devil's proposition. He sort of has created a world around you in the flesh that revolves around that idea. Because he knows that people want to do good and intend good, so he keeps you so hyper focused on these ideas of like survival, danger, safety. You don't want to die. You want to preserve your flesh at all costs. Don't do anything controversial. Don't dare to go all the way. Don't dare. Why? Just live a comfortable, cozy life. So I'm going to give folks like, I don't know, 10 minutes max to get in here, and we'll just kind of talk and riff here at the top. Nothing really stands out other than that it was a very nice day at the stand. A lot of people showed up. I actually had to go get more food at about 3:30 p.m. About 3:30 I had to go get more food. What's going on, bro? I don't know what's going on. Some dude's screaming his butt off. I've heard that this McDonald's drive-thru gets a little wild sometimes, but hey, maybe something will pop off. Not that I'm looking for that, but what were we talking about? Yeah, I mean, that's the gist of it. If I've learned anything in this walk at this point, it is that the devil keeps you in slavery to the idea that there is no other alternative way to live. Because you are so focused on, and many of you, to no fault of your own, kind of like what I lived for my life, thought that I felt like many of the things that were in my life were necessary. And I think anyone who goes through homelessness or loses things like this, everyone learns the lesson that actually you do not need most of what you think you need, even down to a cell phone at times. Like a cell phone with I have no phone right now. I can do this, but I don't have a phone number. I can't call anyone, and I've been okay. You know, the world didn't fall apart on me. So I have faith that I will have somewhere to just lay my head and not be freezing my butt off for the winter duration. And I plan to really immerse myself a lot more heavily into volunteer opportunities during that time, because it's not really going to be very practical to set up the stand during the cold of the winter. Although, you know, you never know what I'll do on some days. I think I plan too to like maybe drive around and hand them out during that time. But there is another way to live. That other way to live is prescribed to you in Scripture. Letting the dead bury the dead. Follow him. Go home, sell everything, give up your possessions. Follow him. And I've had comments come in, well, that sounds all great, but but this, but that, but there's this reason my faith can't activate on that level, but this reason. I mean, all I have found is that when you want to live a righteous life, God meets you. He will meet you there, and that's the whole point of life. That's why we have this life, this air to breathe even, is to bless other people, man. The devil's got you. I mean, I keep commenting on this. I commented on it last night, but like these guys will drive around, they'll drive by listening to like their gangster rap. They're all leaned back. They're thinking they're in their own little world. They're usually alone. I've noticed that. No wife in the side, nobody with them. If they do have somebody with them, they're ratchet as all get out as well. Rapping all the expletives and all that. So I'm bringing up rap just because it's like, especially when it's, I mean, as you know, I love rap. Actually, I love rap quite a bit. But when it's like this gangsterism stuff, it's just, but again, the devil so infects the minds of people. Like I'm sitting there thinking today, and I'm thinking, golly, I make fun of it sometimes. And they drive by, and I'm like, I'm a murderer and a gangster. Like I shoot people, and I'm so cool. Like, how did he ever convince us? Like, seriously, how did he ever convince anyone that is a path to take or something cool? Like killing people, murdering people, beating people, shooting them up, spraying up your city, getting respect by selling bands of crack and coke. Like that's literally the entire industry. How did he fool so many people with that? How did we not, like the first time we heard it, say, That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. That is literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard. To run around and be like a horrible monster throughout the city, but it's like this thing that people think they want to emulate. The truth is, Jesus, listen, I've never been a gangster on that side of it. I'm a gangster in Christ. I'll say that. I tried to be, I was like always pretending, trying to be hard or tough. Thank you. God bless you, Martin, for the $50 Cash App donation tonight. Thank you. God bless you, brother. I'm telling you, man. I mean, I have been praying all day long that a donation come in, just to give me some, not that I'm strapped. I had like $40 in the account, but just, I said, Lord, just give me breathing room. And it literally, I'm packing up, and a woman comes walking up on the sidewalk and just has a $20 bill in her hand already. And I said, do you need anything? You want anything? Just this. And she grabbed a rosary. You know, a beautiful young black woman. And I said, you just answered. I said, it's just interesting how the Holy Spirit answers our prayers. I said, you just answered a prayer. And she said, well, good. I'm glad I was obedient. And then I went to Dollar Tree. I'll tell that. I keep most of the stuff that I try to do, but Frosties are $1 right now. Maybe this will inspire you. Maybe that's the purpose I should share this with. I think that's probably usually nationally. So they have $1 Frosties, chocolate Frosties, vanilla, whatever flavors you want right now, the small kind. Just go buy 10 or 20 of them and start handing them out to the homeless. At any rate, the woman at Dollar Tree basically financed that tonight. She gave me a donation last year, and then before I left the store tonight, she walked up and she said, here. I mean, it's literally what I'm trying to paint a picture for you of is once you like enter this mentality that you just kind of keep passing it along. Like, I got a Frosty tonight myself. I got a Frosty, a bunch of other people got a Frosty. It just keeps coming in. It compounds. It's like interest compounding upon itself. Not for the purposes of, it ain't about money. Sometimes it is about being able to like hand somebody a $20 bill or a $50 bill to help them out in some way. Sometimes that's a gesture, but it's just about, it's about the smiles you get. Don't you want to, what we're talking about is like, don't you want to be cool for that? Rather than for spraying up your neighborhood, drinking malt liquor and shooting people in the head? Seriously, like what's going on? What's wrong with humanity when that is like what we're striving for? And somehow Jesus, throughout our society, got painted as corny, because he did. I remember growing up, I'd watch In Living Color, I'd watch Mad TV, Saturday Night Live. They're all mocking and making fun of Christianity, Jesus. Anytime you saw Jesus depicted on these comedy skits, he was always some kind of weak, wimpy, weird guy. And then the devil would show up in the same skit, and somehow they'd make him out to be cooler and playing the heavy metal music or something like that. Like, literally, these were the comedy skits that would be coming on. You look back on it, you realize I have literally been brainwashed. And who did they target? Generally not adults. I mean, how old was I when I started listening to NWA and Criminal Nation and all these like gangster rap groups? 7th grade. 7th grade. There wasn't a gangster bone in me. And yet, I think do you know what I think it was too? Is that the school that I was going to, which was Catholic in name, it's not like the school body was Catholic, meaning just like any other school, bullies, jerky jocks, snobby kids, all of that stuff. It wasn't, and that is, if I may, a leadership issue. We were not being educated other than we were getting a secular education in school, at the Catholic schools. Oh, we'd go to mass and all that, but we were getting a largely secular education. And there was no real monitoring of our spiritual lives going on at all at a Catholic school. And that, my school wasn't an anomaly. There's definitely good things about where I went, but anyway, it looks like we got some people showing up now, and we'll start the trivia here in just a few moments. We'll wrap up what I've been talking about. Basically, get out there and start blessing people, man. The Frosty thing's a great idea. And everybody loves the Frosty. Everybody. I've yet to meet someone that's not like, you know what, I don't want the Frosty. And they all are just like pumped by it. Because it's a treat. It's a nice special treat. It's like having a milkshake. And just watch. Don't you again, to the devil's side, walking around with your boom boom, trying to be all cool, like, it's corny, dude. Get out there and start helping your community, helping them, rather than spraying them up and being a young thug. Come on, man. It's corny, bro. Anyway, let's hop in. This is where we stopped last night. So this is how we're gonna learn Catholicism, Christianity, same thing. I was asked that question today. So what's the difference between Catholicism and Christianity? And I started off by saying it's amazing that that's even a question. And I understand why it is. But it's amazing that that is even a question. I said, it just goes to show how effective Protestant propaganda has been in the United States at attacking God's church. Okay, first question. Who is the patron saint of priests? This was known as a very good preacher and orator. Who is the patron saint of priests? You'll often see this particular saint carved into the podiums at churches, if there are carvings done or whatever else, at the lectionary. Exactly right. Bookshelf Learn. You got it right. St. John Vianney. Next question. And God bless you guys. I'm glad you're here. Maybe doing it a little bit earlier is good. I tell you, just, if you guys want, just keep the blessings coming. The blessings keep coming. I just don't even think of it. The blessings just keep going out. Everybody's blessing everybody. That's how to live your life. It just is how to live your life. And when you start to do that, this ain't no sell your, don't get me wrong, don't get me twisted. I'm not like Cleflo Dollar or whatever his name is, telling you to sell your house and give to this ministry and God gives you back. I'm just saying, bless everywhere you go in life. Most especially those in need. But who are you to know whether they're in need or not? Just sort of bless. Get out there and do that more often. You'll start to see the heavens open up, straight up. But I love it. I love being supported by you all, and then getting to do what I love, and then by proxy too, allowing the people that donate to also be blessing these people too. It's a beautiful thing, man. At any rate, next question. As a boy, this well-known Catholic leader suffered a fractured skull, nearly killing him after being struck by a truck. Name him. So this is a canonized saint, by the way, as well as I'll give you a hint. It's a former pope. It's a former pope. As a boy, this well-known Catholic leader suffered a fractured skull, nearly killing him, being struck by a truck. Name this Catholic leader. Speaking of, we're getting the gangsterism. John Paul II. Correct, John Reese. John Paul II. Or Pope John Paul II. Who I've been getting a new appreciation for. Do you know that he he canonized more saints during his pontificate than any other pope in history. I don't know, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like more than 400 saints got canonized during his pontificate. And I think that's a great thing. Saints inspire us to go as far as we can go in our walk with Christ, in my opinion. Next question. Who is the patron saint of spiritual help? This isn't... Oh, wow. One of my favorites. Who is the patron saint of spiritual help? I'll give you a hint. No, that hint's too strong. If I give you that hint, you'll get it. Who is the patron saint of spiritual help? Okay, I'll give you a hint. Most Catholic churches have a food pantry run in the name of this particular saint. There's no cash prize. Unless, of course, you want to give. That's the whole point. That's part of the point, is to basically fund the ministry. Okay, the patron saint, yes, you got it right. St. Vincent de Paul, bookshelf. St. Vincent de Paul, who is quoted as having said, and I'm paraphrasing, I meet God in the poor and homeless over and over again. That is a very common... I talked to the sisters over here. I talked to my friend over at Parish Kitchen that dropped off some books at the stand today to give out, some pro-life literature. Everyone's always in agreement. It's like we have these moments where you're pretty sure, I think I just had a conversation with the Lord or with an angel or something like that. It happens all the time when you start to do this. And it says a lot to me, and it's not a judgmental thing. I mean, dear God, I lived most of my life not knowing these things. I did. Had blinders on. But I can say it tells me a lot when people say, well, I don't pray for everything. I have a friend of mine that says that. I don't pray for little things like that. Like if I lost my key, I find that ridiculous. God's going to help you find your keys. Do you not realize, like, God wants us praying for everything all the time? The aha moment is he's testing to see, are you putting it together yet? Like, do you actually believe that I answer your prayers or not? Like, that is literally where this goes. And if you do not believe that he answers your prayers, then you're not going to pray that he asks that he help you find your keys. Simple as that. You're lacking in faith. Truly. Because I know what it is too. You're afraid, like, well, what if he doesn't? Then does that mean there is no God? What if my keys don't get found? Well, that's a moment to learn. That's a moment to learn that, are you going to give up? Honestly, I think that's the biggest one. When God, okay, if you're living righteously, you're doing everything you can to try to conform and obey his word and doing all the things that God asks of you, and you're praying a lot, and if some of your prayers don't get answered, number one, there's always God's will, but sometimes he delays things for the building of patience and also to test to see whether or not you're going to run away and go find something else. So, he wants to see whether or not you're a fair weather friend. Hopefully I haven't lost the connection here. I'll tell you that I try not to focus on the numbers, but they fluctuate so often, and yet it seems like there's still people in the room, so I don't know. Which 20th century pope was the first pope to be canonized since the 17th century? Which 20th century pope was the first pope to be canonized since the 17th century? Aha, very interesting. I believe their society, the society in the name of this particular pope, was just excommunicated from the church for ordaining their own bishops without approval. Which 20th century pope was the first pope to be canonized since the 17th century? Exactly. That was was my hint good enough? Yep, Pope Pius X. Bookshelf got it right. Bookshelf learned. Next question. This saint was the first recorded person to receive the stigmata in 1224 after 40 days of fasting. He received the stigmata frequently during the last 2 years of his life before dying in 1226. Name him. One of my favorite saints. Probably one of the most honored and loved saints by everyone, non-Catholics included. Might even be responsible for more pagan conversions than any other saint ever. It's hard not to love this saint. This saint was the first recorded person to receive the stigmata in 1224 after 40 days of fasting. He received the stigmata frequently during the last 2 years of his life before dying in 1226. Name him. Here's a hint. If you know anything about the Daughters of Mary that run the Rose Garden Home Mission, are members of his order. A lot of people don't know this about this saint, that he was a stigmatist. Okay, it's Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Francis of Assisi was born in 1181 and died in 1226. So, yeah, he was the first saint ever recorded in history that became canonized that had the stigmata. As some of you know, there's a lot of blesseds, venerables, servants of God that haven't gone through the full canonization process that have had stigmata. Stigmata's rare though. That's a rare. St. Padre Pio had it. St. Therese of Avila had it. It's definitely a unique identifier for saints. Next question. What do Pope Marcellinus, Pope Liberius, Pope Benedict IX, Pope Gregory VI, Pope Saint Celestine V, and Pope Gregory XII share in common? It's a good question. Let me go. I'm not reading those again. Interesting. That makes sense. There's one. Huh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, you often, when you think of St. Francis, you're usually thinking, statues in gardens with birds or deer near him and stuff like that. That's one reason why the pagans love him, is because St. Francis has this rep of being, obviously he had a love for the homeless and for the poor, but he also had a love of nature. And he's kind of like a bridge, I mean, turns out we Christians, we love animals. I love animals. My favorite, I love cats. Okay, these were all abdicated popes. So they abdicated their seat. I'm not sure that the trivia that I grabbed, Pope Benedict should have been on there as well. But I think that this was before his pontificate. Next question. According to some evidence, what honor does Pope Saint Siricius, who reigned from 384 to 399, hold? According to some evidence, what honor does Pope Saint Siricius, who reigned from 384 to 399, hold? Okay, hey, this is something that we all need to learn when we're talking about, well, you'll understand here in a minute. According to some evidence, what honor does Pope Saint Siricius, who reigned from 384 to 399 hold? Give you just a couple more seconds, and then we'll answer it. He is believed to have been the first bishop of Rome to use the title Pope. So people rightly say that term was not used. There was no Pope Peter or Pope Linus. It's true that term was not being used. But then again, too, the title of Pope also predates the decision as to what would even be the New Testament. It's really literally the exact same time, but about 10 years. So you also didn't have a New Testament at that time either. But the term Pope was being used before we had the New Testament for the Bishop of Rome. And Pope means Papa. Don't you dare say, let no man call you father, because that's not what it meant. St. Paul himself referred to himself as the church's spiritual father in one of his letters. St. Stephen referred to Abraham, our father. Next question. This woman, patron saint of South America, was so beautiful that people referred to her by the name of a flower. Who is she? This woman, patron saint of South America, was so beautiful that people referred to her by the name of a flower. Who is she? I think I know this one. And it's not the one that might come to mind because of the word flower. There's a church down by the river here in Cincinnati named after her. I didn't know she was considered to be extremely beautiful, though. Although the other one was very beautiful as well, died very young. They are these. I'm gonna keep making them, and we're gonna keep doing these videos over time. I find it very educational, and you never know the things that are gonna stick. So I believe this is Saint Rose of Lima. Let me look. Yes, Saint Rose of Lima, who lived from 1586 to 1617. Some of you may have a Saint Rose of Lima church somewhere in your town or city that you go to. I had no idea that, you learn something all the time. So I really didn't even know that I did know that she was the patron saint of South America. But I didn't before I made these questions. Nicholas Breakspere was the birth name of the only English pope. What was his regnal name? Nicholas Breakspere was the birth name of the only English pope. What was his regnal name? And regnal means, obviously, it's like John Paul II, right? That's the name that was chosen for the pontificate. I honestly didn't even know that there was only one English pope. One more time. Nicholas Breakspere was the birth name of the only English pope. What was his regnal name? Give you a couple more minutes, a couple more seconds. Pope Adrian IV. His pontificate was from 1154 to 1159. So Pope Adrian IV has been the only English pope. Interesting. Next question. In 1937, Pope Pius XI wrote the encyclical Divini Redemptoris. What specifically did this encyclical condemn? Hint. This is a very big hint. Lenin. Vladimir Lenin. As you know, the church condemns this quite a bit. Or maybe you don't know, and we should know this. One reason why they condemn Freemasonry partly too. The two are connected. In 1937, Pope Pius XI wrote the encyclical Divini Redemptoris. What specifically did this encyclical condemn? Hint, Lenin, Leninism. We'll figure it out. I might make a more official game out of it where people can watch a more professional. Maybe I'll do that at the shed. I'll make videos to where I'm not talking in between and kind of being less formal. Because I could, yes, communism, correct. Because I could see this being used for like homeschooling, even. For, you know, families that are raising their kids and trying to teach them Catholicism. Might be interesting to use some of these. I think flashcards are an excellent method to learn. They're time tested and they work, and they're so cheap, and you just got to take your time to write on them. Okay, next question. How long was the pontificate of Pope John Paul II? How long was the pontificate of Pope John Paul II? It was actually pretty long from what I remember. Oh yeah. One of the longer reigns for a pope. It's a long reign. So how long was the pontificate of Pope John Paul II? If you don't get the exact amount of months as well, I'll give it to you. But oh, you're good. Listen, God's gonna take care of it. You're not the only one here. Like, my numbers are often. I truly believe that. God, how am I, not to get off topic here. Okay, let's answer that real quick before we go on. 26 years and 5 months was the pontificate of Pope John Paul II. That is quite a reign. I wish Benedict were still, I mean, he's gone, but I mean, I wish he had been in longer. I'm starting to realize he was actually a very good pope. God will bless this in time. I know he will. Literally, this channel has nothing to do with anything that it used to have to do with, which was the exposure of the Illuminati. I mean, there's some of that. We talk about some of that stuff, but it's about, if it's really about anything, it's about what Matthew Kelly wrote about in his book, Holy Moments, is to help promote that in our world, to hopefully motivate other people to, hopefully through the power of my testimony as I continue to go forward, I do still believe that God has unbelievable things in store here for me. And I think that in time, this channel will be rightly lifted up, not because of me, but because I got out of his way and because I allowed him to shine. Next question. Which pope wrote the famous encyclical entitled, now this one, guys, I have a lot of work to do on my pronunciations of some of this. I'm going to do my best. Which pope wrote the famous encyclical entitled Quadragesimo Anno, reaffirming the Church's commitment to labor? I'm not going to attempt that again. We'll give you 10 seconds, then I'm going to answer it, because I want to move on from this one. I did not confidently pronounce that. Interesting. We just mentioned this pope. Pope Pius XI is the answer. Next question. But I appreciate that. Don't feel bad. Just have fun, you know. If you're finding this educational and learn from it, that's enough. Do you know how many times I could say that my time out on the stand sometimes is a loss, because I then I pack up with a bunch of lunches or sandwiches still left at the end, and I got to go pass them out somewhere. Number one, that's not a loss. You just have to go find them. But maybe I gave out a few rosaries that day. How do I know what is being planted, water? I have no idea. And thankfully, too, this video will get watched later as well. It's just simply something. Next question. This title is given by the Church to saints and blesseds who suffered persecution and torture for their faith, but not to the point of death. Oh, I think I'm going to have to really try to remember this one. This title is given by the church to saints and blesseds who suffered persecution and torture for their faith, but not to the point of death. I knew it started with that letter, but I don't know what's up with the numbers lately. Probably because I banned most of the weird spirits that, like moths to a flame, always come to me. The entities that show up. I pretty much hide them constantly, so they don't even show up anymore. God bless their little hearts. The answer is no, not passive martyrdom, but confessor. Not to be confused with a priest that is confessor, but confessor. So a blessed or a saint, blessed being right before, we have servant of God. There's the 4 levels of canonization. Servant of God, venerable, what we just said there, oh God, blessed, and then saint. So blesseds and saints who suffered persecution, possibly even torture, but not to the point of death, are known as confessors. Interesting. Next question. This English statesman and Lord Chancellor under King Henry VIII was beheaded by edict of King Henry for his opposition to King Henry's divorce. Name this person. I'll give you a hint, it's a saint. This English statesman, you want to impress some people about your knowledge of the starting of the Church of England, and the King James Version later, and all of this. This is a good name to remember. This English statesman and Lord Chancellor under King Henry VIII was beheaded by edict of King Henry for his opposition to King Henry's divorce. Name this person. The answer is St. Thomas More. Or you could say Sir Thomas More as well. Next question. Who are the creatures with intelligence and free will who act as messengers for God? Who are the creatures with intelligence and free will who act as messengers for God? I'll give you a hint. There are fallen types of this creature as well. Correct, angels. They have intelligence and free will too. They took their free will in the wrong direction. Next question. The ring engraved with St. Peter fishing from a boat was a signet used until 1842 to seal official documents signed by popes. Name this ring. This ring, engraved with St. Peter fishing from a boat, was a signet used until 1842 to seal official documents signed by popes. Name this ring. Thanks for the easy one. I'll give you a hint. No, I won't. It's hard to give that hint. We'll just see if anybody gets it. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ring of the fisherman, or the fisherman's ring. Interesting. Next question. These are hard. These are definitely harder than some of the other trivia that I have. This requires people to know a little bit more about the history of the Catholic Church, dogmas, tradition. It doesn't necessarily all come very easily, but it's very educational. This Pope canonized, if you were paying attention, you'll know the answer to this. This Pope canonized 483 saints, more than the combined tally of his predecessors during the previous 5 centuries. Name him. This Pope canonized 483 saints, more than the combined tally of his predecessors during the previous 5 centuries. Name this pope. This pope was a major, he was very foundational in many ways. Like, revolutionary is the wrong word. Very innovative. Here's a hint. This pope is responsible for adding 5 additional mysteries to the rosary. That's a pretty strong hint. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is Pope John Paul II. So I'm presuming that means they put it the combined tally of his predecessors, but I presume that means that Pope John Paul II canonized more saints than any other pope in history during his pontificate. That makes sense. I mean, he had a 26-year, 5-month reign, as we just learned. I think what he was probably trying to do was to create more and more inspirational heroes for the Catholic Church, not in some artificial way, but I mean, think about it. I think we all somewhere know that some who were saints, capital S, never were canonized. I think we know that. We assume that much anyway. And so I think he was just a little bit more liberal with that, and I think that's a good thing. I would love to see more than just St. Carlos Acutis and a few others every time. Let's go ahead. Let's get busy. Born in Italy in 1850, this person became an American citizen in 1909, and that was no knock on Carlos. Born in Italy in 1850, this person became an American citizen in 1909 and became the first American saint when canonized by Pope Pius XII on July 7th, 1946. Name this person. Let me see. Is this who I'm thinking? No. It is a woman, though. It's a woman. That's a hint. You probably won't get this one. I'll humor you. I'll let you sit here and put your funniness in here. I'll let you waste. Wait. Here it is. I'll just read it aloud for people. The Catholic Church worships idols as they displayed them in their church. The Holy Mother of the Catholic Church is the beast. All right, now you went too far. You're leaving. Have a good day. You can do a lot of things. Don't talk about my mother. Don't you ever talk about my mother. Born in Italy in 1850, this person became an American citizen in 1909 and became the first American saint when canonized by Pope Pius XII on July 7th, 1946. Mother Frances Xavier Cabrini is the answer. What a disgusting thing to say, by the way. The mother of the church being the Blessed Virgin. If these people only thought about it, the Blessed Virgin is the beast of Revelation. Right. Tell me how you don't know Scripture because you left the church without telling me you don't know Scripture. Actually, the truth is, the person that I just removed, and anyone who, if you ever denigrate or diss on the Blessed Virgin, you're done, gone, you ain't commenting, you're not talking anymore, you're done, it's over. But the truth of the matter is, you're still watching, you're able to watch. You're a heretic. You left the church, you followed men who thought it was better to create a division in the church and to cut it all up and to break it up into all these confusing teachings where men like you can come along and accuse the Catholic Church of being some sort of harlot or abomination. when in fact you are a heretic. That is not what the church teaches. You are very far. Why is that important? Well, either you got it right or 2,000 years of Christendom has it right. One of the two, and you're not the right one. But I appreciate your Seventh-day Adventism. Next question. Pope Clement II, who reigned from 1046 to 1047, is the only pope ever to be buried in which country? Pope Clement II, who reigned from 1046 to 1047, is the only pope ever to be buried in which country? This is for educational purposes now, so if nobody types anything out pretty quickly, I'm going to start answering some of these because these are harder. The answer is Germany. So Pope Clement II was buried in Germany, and he is the only pope to ever be buried in Germany. Interesting. Listen, I can have civil debates, but when you come off like that, where you're heretical, you're so far off the mark that you're just here to spread false teachings, and then accuse the Catholic Church of being the problem. This person would have been screaming at Moses for putting cherubim, for giving him the 10 Commandments, and then not long after putting cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant in Exodus 20:25. Truly. Moses was never binding himself to do things under the direction of God, and God's church has been under God's direction, and we were unified before the first schism in the 1100s, and then 1517 Martin Luther the heretic. We were unified. But my bad, you got it right. You came along long after the fact, with your late game theology, personal interpretation based on my pastor down the street's interpretation of anti-Catholicism. The mother of the church is the mother of revelation of the church is the beast and the harlot. Okay. Have fun when you get up above and explain that one. Next question. After Pope St. Peter, which pope reigned the longest in church history at 31 years, 7 months, and 23 days? Woo, that is a long pontificate. That's longer than Pope John Paul II. After Pope St. Peter, which pope reigned the longest in church history at 31 years, 7 months, and 23 days? There were a series of popes by this name. These were generally considered to be very good popes, too. It's interesting how different popes that choose different regnal names tend to have certain characteristics. Pope Pius IX. His pontificate was from 1846 to 1878. Some people don't even live that long. Next question. Who are the last 3 non-Italian popes in their nationalities? Who are the last 3 non-Italian popes and their nationalities? I think we know the one. Oh yeah. Okay, so I was wrong. Pope Benedict never abdicated the papal seat, because this was definitely, the trivia was created when he was in office. So he just resigned, I suppose. Should be something interesting to research as well. Who are the last 3 non-Italian popes and their nationalities? The answer is Pope Leo XIV, who was an American. I'm sorry. Our current Pope, Pope Leo XIV, Pope Benedict the 16th, who was German, and then Pope John Paul II, who was Polish. So, this one's pretty easy. I'm not sure if I'm going to do my best to pronounce her name. What honor does Saint Kateri Tekakwitha hold? What honor does Saint Kateri Tekakwitha hold? The answer is that she was the first Native American to be beatified in 1980. It's a pretty big deal. Our church needs more and more representation. Deacon Harold Burks, I was watching a video of his. I love him, by the way. Big, burly, black guy, former police chief, decided God was calling him to be a deacon in the Catholic Church. And I saw him in an interview talking about how the Catholic Church has a very strong need to have a presence of a few hanging pictures of black saints in their churches. When black people come to the Catholic Church, they see that they are represented. That would be and I would argue all nationalities should have a better representation. I love the Anglo look or tradition of the Catholic Church, but it's 2026. Not only that, but it's just to be accurate and to reflect what the Catholic Church truly is and who we really are, our identity. We need to have that representation. So, next question. This prince of theologians wrote over 50 works that logically, that's a key word for this saint, that logically and objectively, rather than through faith and revelation, defend the church and its doctrines. His masterpiece is Summa Theologica, a book famous for its 5 logical arguments for the existence of God. Name this saint and a member of the Dominican order. The answer is St. Thomas Aquinas, who lived from 1225 to 1274. He had a very short life. He was, I guess, 49 when he died. But boy, St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine, others, think about all the names in history of men that are forgotten. And then when it comes to like the saints of the Catholic Church, like the big names, you're never forgotten. And that's because you're a hero of the one thing that actually matters in the world. And that is Christ. Your saints are like the Mickey Mantle of Christ, or the Willie Mays of Jesus. Next question. One of the 3 patron saints of Ireland and considered the founding father of the Catholic Church in Ireland. Name him. It's pretty easy. One of the 3 patron saints of Ireland and considered the founding father of the Catholic Church in Ireland. The legend is that he drove out all the snakes from Ireland, even though Ireland didn't have a terrible snake problem, so. But there's a lot of spiritual metaphor there. St. Patrick. St. Patrick, 387 to 461. So you know that much. St. Patrick, if you didn't know this, 4th to 5th century saint of Ireland. So that's some real history right there. The next question. In 1582, this pope corrected flaws in the older Julian calendar dating to 46 to 45 BC by advancing the calendar date 10 days in order to bring the calendar in line with the natural course of the seasons, thus creating the modern or reformed calendar. Name this pope. His name is where we get the name for this particular calendar. The answer is Pope Gregory the 13th, the Gregorian calendar. Next question. Really, too, the responsibility to bookshelf learn, even. If you want others to know about this trivia, you know, be helpful if other people that watch this channel, because I totally changed course of this channel. I mean, people that subscribed to this channel previously, it was the Jeremiah Cohen channel. I was always covering the symbolism of the Illuminati and was very, you know, even anti-Catholic at that time too. So this is a major 180 where we're going in a completely different direction now. And it's going to take a little bit of time to gain some traction, although God's been blessing it. So, next question. In addition to Saint Sebastian, who is the patron saint of policemen? I know this one. In addition to Saint Sebastian, who is the patron saint of policemen? So a lot of times police officers will, whether you know it or not, they're wearing necklaces with this particular saint on it. I don't right now. I need to look into getting PayPal. Unfortunately, right now I only have the Cash App. Thank you for asking, Cribbo Brobrian. Cribbo Brobian. That was a hard one. So, I mean, you don't have to, but if you were able to download the Cash App and do that, that's amazing. Otherwise, no big deal. Unfortunately, that's really the only way I can accept funds right now. Ever since I became homeless, a bit over a year ago now, I just sort of haven't gotten all my things back in order again. So that'll all happen in due time, but right now, I'm just sort of living on a prayer, as Bon Jovi would say. The answer, one of the patron saints of policemen is Saint Michael the Archangel. I think you can donate on a web-based browser to following the link that I included in the description at Cash App without actually having the Cash App app. I could be wrong about that, but that may be a thing. I don't know. That's interesting. Here's a question. Has there ever been a pope of Jewish heritage? Well, yeah. Has there ever been a pope of Jewish heritage? Although there's a little bit of he was a pope, but we just learned that what was his name again? Saint Sebastius? I need to remember that. Well, we just learned that it was like the 4th century that the term Pope first began being used. At any rate, yes, there was a Pope of Jewish heritage, St. Peter, the first Bishop of Rome. Oh, let's have another. How are we doing on these? Where are we? It may take another night of video to get through all these for the saints, angels, and popes section. The next question, where in Italy can you find a painting of the crucifixion that, according to tradition, spoke to St. Thomas Aquinas? Where in Italy can you find a painting of the crucifixion that, according to tradition, spoke to St. Thomas Aquinas? Boy, we're educating you. Oh, interesting. The answer is the Church of San Domenico in Naples. So according to Catholic tradition, there was a painting at that church that spoke to St. Thomas Aquinas. Interesting. Next question. This monastic order has produced 50 popes, 200 cardinals, 7,000 archbishops, 15,000 bishops, and over 1,500 saints. Name this order referred to as the Black Monks. A hint, unfortunately I don't have it on right now, but my crucifix, many Catholic crucifixes have a medal of this particular saint on them. But this monastic order, so the founder, the saint who founded this order, which is in his name, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the Benedictine order, known as the Black Monks. This apostle and saint was crucified under Roman Emperor Nero, upside down, per his request, on the cross because he did not believe that he deserved to be crucified in the same manner as Jesus. This apostle and saint was crucified under Roman Emperor Nero, upside down, per his request, on the cross because he did not believe that he deserved to be crucified in the same manner as Christ. Name him. We got a little extra trivia answer for you on this one too. So that saint was Saint Peter, and Saint Peter, so the Satanists have adopted that symbol as one of their symbols, but it's actually originally a symbol of the Catholic Church. So sometimes you'll see people that are not, they don't know anything about the history of the church. They'll see the Catholic Church using an inverted cross, and they'll even point to that and say, oh my gosh, see? The Catholic Church is satanic. Literally, everything has gotten so ridiculous on this. Also, St. Peter's Basilica is believed to be the site that St. Peter was crucified. And down in the catacombs, I believe it is there's 91 popes in total buried down there. St. Peter is one of them. So St. Peter's body is at St. Peter's Basilica beneath the main altar in the catacombs. Interesting trivia. Next question. Which base regnal name has been shared by popes throughout history more than any other regnal name? And a regnal name is a name that a pope chooses for his pontificate, separate from the name that he was born with. Which base regnal name has been shared by popes throughout history more than any other regnal name? The answer is John, and the last pope to use this was Pope John the 23rd, who is like a Medal of Honor winner, and yeah. According to tradition, what is the symbolic object or sign associated with St. Vincent de Paul? I'm glad that I'm getting to refresh my mind with this. According to tradition, what is the symbolic object or sign associated with St. Vincent de Paul? The answer is children. Next question. In addition to the Blessed Virgin Mary, which saint is depicted in artwork more than any other saint? In addition to the Blessed Virgin Mary, which saint is depicted in artwork more than any other saint? If I gave you that hint, you'd know, but I'll give you the hint, people that may be watching this later. This saint later became known as Santa Claus, essentially. And I know my channel used to talk about the anagram. Santa being an anagram for the devil, Satan. The answer is Saint Nicholas. Hi, Michael. How are you? God bless you. We're deep in it tonight, so if you want to join in and start chiming in your answers, if you know any of them, that'd be awesome. I love when people are participating. But then again, I pulled a pretty big one on my channel and I changed everything that we are about here, so it'll take a little bit of time to grow and be blessed as usual. The next question is, in addition to the Blessed Virgin Mary, Which saint is depicted in artwork more than any other saint? Saint Nicholas was the answer. Next question. Which pope convoked the Second Vatican Council to reflect pastoral orientation toward a renewal and reform in the church? That's what I thought. Oh. Do I have that? I think I have that wrong. I think it's Pope, sorry to answer this, but I think I put Pope John the 13th, but I'm pretty sure it's Pope John the 23rd. It's Pope John the 23rd. Do I have a pen on me? I do. Okay. Who is the patron saint of politicians? Well, that'd be a terrible one to have to receive the prayers of all the time. Especially if you ever watched Father Chad Ripperger in interviews talking about the personality traits of most of our politicians. That interview he did with Tucker Carlson, I think he may have done one or two of them. Very enlightening. Who is the patron saint of politicians? St. Thomas More, who we talked about earlier, who was beheaded by the court of King Henry VIII for not endorsing his divorce. Kind of tells, so King Henry VIII not only beheaded a now canonized saint, also rebelled against the church and insisted upon divorcing his wife, then founded his own Church of England in order to approve of that divorce, which then resulted later in the King James Version, which is one of the most inferior translations on planet Earth of God's holy word. Namely because what's being offered to people is something that's missing, generally speaking, 7 books, unless you go out of your way to get the Apocrypha included. Not only that, but it translates a lot of areas where God is calling us to obedience in very curious ways to avoid telling us we must obey God. Because the King James Version wants to emphasize belief alone. God bless all you KJV onlyists. God bless all you Proddies. You do you, I'm me. I'm unabashedly Catholic. I'm always gonna be coming at you from that angle, brother and sister. Next question. Born Albino Luciani, this person was the first pope to use first in his regnal name. Name this pope, nicknamed the Smiling Pope. Tell you what, that's interesting. So, Albino Luciani became Pope John Paul I. Pope John Paul I, known as the Smiling Pope, was the first pope to ever use the term first in his regnal name. Interesting. Next question. Which saint and Carmelite nun is known as the Little Flower? Which saint and Carmelite nun is known as the Little Flower? It's pretty easy. Most people know this saint. Whenever you see pictures of her, because she died so young, she's just got this beautiful, youthful exuberance to her. Saint Therese of Lisieux, 1873 to 1897. Sometimes referred to just simply as the Little Flower. The next question is, this pope was both the first pope ever to visit a synagogue and the first pope ever to visit a mosque. It's a modern pope. You see it now being very commonplace, but before that, it wasn't a thing that they did. But it definitely was a pope of the modern era. This pope was both the first pope ever to visit a synagogue and the first pope ever to visit a mosque. Name him. The answer is Pope John Paul II. Pope John Paul II was the first ever to visit a synagogue and a mosque during his pontificate. Next question is, who is the patron saint of the USA? Who is the patron saint of the USA? I knew that. I tell you what, we are very fortunate to have this saint as the patron saint of the United States. Our country has been consecrated to her. The Immaculate Conception is the answer. Next question. Saint Gregory the Great and Saint John Baptist de La Salle are together the patron saints of whom? Saint Gregory the Great and Saint John Baptist de La Salle are together the patron saints of whom? The answer is teachers. Who is the patron saint of both married couples and carpenters? Who is the patron saint of both married couples and carpenters? I think I know who this is. If you think about that, carpenters, couples, who's the patron saint of those two groups? Saint Joseph, father of Jesus. No. Saint Joachim, father of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Huh. I would have thought it was Saint Joseph. No wonder she liked Saint Joseph. Reminded her of her father. How many popes resided in Avignon? How many popes resided in Avignon? And after that, it was the Lateran Palace. Or was it? No, it was before that. It was the Lateran Palace, right? And now it's the Apostolic Palace that the Pope stays in. It's a lot to learn always. 7. For 7 years, popes resided in Avignon. What is unique about the name Pope Marcellus II, who reigned in 1555 AD? What is unique about the name Pope Marcellus II, who reigned in AD 1555? Most of you will probably not get this. He was the last pope to use his birth name rather than a regnal name. So Pope Marcellus II was the last pope to use his birth name, essentially. Shout out to anybody who watches this at any point, space, and time. The purpose of me doing these videos is to try to fund the lunch ministry that I do. Really, it's a rosary missionary ministry, but part of that is handing out food because you can't really, it's kind of rude to hand out just one of the other. We should be doing both complementary, I think. And so there's a time and a place to only hand out a rosary and that, or a lunch. But generally speaking, it is good to come with both. That way you are hitting both their corporal needs as well as their spiritual needs. And anybody who's a Catholic knows that we have the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Next question. This priest became the first victim of the Nazi concentration camps to be canonized when he volunteered to take the place of a father of several children who was scheduled for execution at Auschwitz during World War II. Name this saint who is honored with a statue in Krakow, Poland. A hint, this saint founded the Militia de Immaculata in response to the Freemasons, literally to convert Freemasons. I love this saint. He kind of had glasses like this. And yes, you were right. The little flower was Saint Therese of Lisieux. So the saint of Auschwitz was Saint Maximilian Kolbe. A great saint who you should learn more about. If people don't know much about him, he's a wonderful saint to learn more about. And I highly recommend becoming a member of the Milizia de Immacolata. You can do that online. You can sign up and they'll send you out literature at different times, and then they'll also send you out instructions on how to consecrate yourself to the Blessed Virgin, to the Immaculata. Which pope had the shortest pontificate at only 13 days? Ooh. Which pope had a pontificate of only 13 days? The shortest ever. That's what I thought too. Okay, so, there's a lag on the feed, which is the problem. There must be a big lag. So it was the Pope who reigned for 13 days, the shortest pontificate ever, was Pope Urban VII. He reigned in 1590. Imagine that, 13 days. You think the church is happy, excited for a new chapter. They just elected a new pope, and then 13 days later. Next question. A declaration by the Pope that a deceased person is raised to the full honors of the altar, saint, after having been beatified is referred to by what name? A declaration by the Pope that a deceased person is raised to the full honors of the altar, i.e. saint, after having been beatified is referred to by what name? Canonization is the answer. I apologize that there's a lag in the stream, apparently. Next question. As a new pope, which pope scheduled his introductory ceremony around a major soccer match? As a new pope, which pope scheduled his introductory ceremony around a major soccer match? There are a lot of trivia questions around this pope. Here's a hint. This pope reigned for 26 years and 5 months with his pontificate. The answer is Pope John Paul II, a soccer fan. Where was St. Peter crucified and buried? We just went over this in another one where I told you about this. Where was St. Peter crucified and buried? The answer is the current site of St. Peter's Basilica. I think that's a good place to kind of call it a night. I'm getting a little tired. I'll give people a little break from my channel lives. People, it's not about catering always to what people want, but creating the channel that I'm trying to create. Which is unabashedly Catholic. And I for a long time, I allowed others to sort of dampen that in me, to remove that in me, even though I've never felt more alive in Christ than when I've decided to return home. Okay, good. We started up right away. I had this plugged in the entire time. So the Catholic Church is the one that nourishes me, and anyway, we don't need to belabor that point. We're gonna hop off. I may come on and do another live video on a topic, maybe a shorter video. Maybe that'll be a little interesting to people as well. But we're gonna go ahead and end the trivia. I might do one again tomorrow, or I thought that was a good idea. Maybe I will create a non-live trivia version for people that homeschool and that, to where they can watch it, pause. I'll give instructions at the beginning. Let me ask the question, then pause it, think about it, and within 5 seconds or less, I'll give the answer afterwards. I think that might be an interesting way to do it. So God bless you all in Jesus' name. I think I'll be back on here in a little bit. and do a live video. Have a good night.